Hey, good morning. We're in Giza on the north side of the Great Pyramid. I'm moving toward making a video on how the Great Pyramid was built. I put out some short videos, but I want to show stage by stage, step by step. I think, I know there's a million videos about this, but I really think when you watch mine, you're going to see that this is how they did it. Not every square inch, but the basic methods that they use. There's enough evidence that's come into the world now, I think we can show it. When Zahi Hawass took Graham Hancock and Robert Pahl and John Anthony West up to the relieving chambers and showed them their cartouche of crockery, all three of those men who believe that this is much older, at least the Sphinx is older, they all said that cartouche was from Khufu. So you've got strong archaeological evidence by alternative people and the traditionalists that say this was built during the time of Pharaoh, if you can believe that cartouche. And so I'm saying that the methods of construction that the Egyptians had at that time was sufficient to be able to build this monument. There's not as many stones in here as people say. They're not as big as people think. Sure, there's some that are 50, there's a few that are 50 and 70 tons, but most of them are much smaller. The average size block is much smaller than you'd think. So it was a handleable construction project. So stay tuned. I'm working on the truth. I'm not, I don't know how to get 100,000 followers and all these things other people have. They use these fancy videos and things like that. Maybe I'm not capable of that, but I'm fancy with step by step moving toward the truth. I don't want to be misillusions. I don't want to be hoodwinked, And some of you, reactions to some things I've said, some of you are like, plainly, you're part of this school that it was built by older people, so all you Zahi Hawass people are wrong. Oh my God, you're as bad as Zahi Hawass. You're like the paradigm police. You're as bad as Zahi Hawass. Because he's bad because he calls everybody that's alternative a pyramidologist, a pyramidian, he says. So that's obviously wrong. That's the paradigm police. But you're the paradigm police when you don't listen to evidence that might show something different than what you believe. So I'm standing here as one who can be friends with Zahi Hawass. I can be friends with the John Anthony West people. I can be friends with alternative researchers because I want to know every inch of truth I can. We might have different perspectives, but follow this channel if you want somebody who's into the Egyptian Mott. The Orion's belt. The belt is a symbol of, judgment. The basis of which somebody judged. So the belt is a symbol of truth. So the Orion correlation theory, which isn't really the Orion correlation theory, it's his belt. His belt, that's Mott. That's the truth that he's going to judge with. That's what I'm working with, people. What good does it do for me to lie? Like some of these YouTube videos you're watching that get a million views and they're so filled with errors. That just makes me mad. But that's the way this world operates. So if you want to follow somebody who's working with Mott, the Egyptian way of doing it right, even, and pure, then stay tuned. But if you want your preconceived notion, then just lock yourself into those channels. Don't leave the ugly comments down below on this. Seriously, grow up. Grow up. Can you handle it? So here I am in the southwest side of the Great Pyramid. On the south side over here is the boat museum, the solar boat museum, where Pharaoh Khufu's boat was found, and it took him 15 years to figure out how to put it together. It was all neatly stacked in there piece by piece, and it took experts 15 years to put that all together. And then you can see his funerary boat in there. So each one of the different sides of the Great Pyramid is a slightly different length. They're all about 755 feet, but they're each a slightly different length. And if you look at the channel Sacred Geometry Decoded, you'll see that wasn't a mistake. And some beautiful things related to the phi and pi proportion come out because of the apparent, imperfection of the different sides of the Great Pyramid. So the deeper you look into it, the more you put the magnifying glass, the more you put the microscope on the Great Pyramid, the greater it gets. And yet I think it was built by relatively simple means by Pharaoh Khufu in historic times, by ancient Egyptians in the Old Kingdom. The only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world still standing. Incredible. Stay with us. Right behind me is the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is its eastern face. Well, if you look closely at the Great Pyramid, most people when they come here, they're awed by what the Egyptians did. It is remarkable. It's remarkable, this construction. But if you do look close, sometimes people think, gee, it's not as perfect as it seems like from a distance, because the courses, some of them are, you can see the stones are kind of, not perfectly in line, and you can see some sort of imperfections, if you would. Now, of course, originally it was covered by 144,000 white polished limestone blocks that made it shine like a diamond. Those are gone now. But now that we're exposing their construction, it's like, the places in your house where you hide things with lipstick and stuff, but there's real. So we're looking at the real thing. And these courses are at all different lengths. The course, each individual layer of stone is called a course. And some of them are big, most of them are pretty small. The average size is about 2.5 feet. So really the number of blocks that they had to get up there, we sometimes say there were stones that were 20 tons and up to 50 tons. Well, that's the granite up in the King's Chamber. Most of it is limestone blocks, which are of a handleable size based on, modern moving techniques and stuff. And so, people that are clamoring for this to be built by aliens and Atlantis and people that were before, I think when you really study the methods that the Egyptians were capable of at the time of Khufu, it's very reasonable and rational to believe that Egyptians built this 4,500 years ago approximately during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. I'd like to put together a whole video sometime on how I think it was built. That's going to be coming. I've got to interview Ted Whitten more perfectly, who's the master at this. And then some of the things that Ron Wyatt showed, and of course by mentioning his name, some of you are just turning the channel up, but Ron Wyatt did discover the wooden contrivance that they used to help lift the stones. So, the Great Pyramid of Giza, the modern marvels. So if you do a Google search, you'll find that almost everybody says there are 2.3 million blocks that make up the Great Pyramid. Everybody copies everybody else because obviously nobody's counted them, because nobody can count them. You've got to calculate, because obviously the solid masonry and we assume in much of the pyramid, and therefore you can't really count them. So you have to use a calculation. So I've got YouTube videos out there where I make some simple calculations and show that everybody's wrong. There are not 2.3 million stones that make up the Great Pyramid. It's still a wonderful piece of construction. It's still the largest, monument of this type on the face of the earth. It's incredible, but it's not made up of 2.3 million stones. So those people that calculate how long, because a lot of people say that Khufu reigned for 23 years. Well, if Herodotus is right, it took 30 years to build it. Well, Khufu wasn't even the pharaoh that long. So assuming it was built during his reign, and I understand all the people don't believe that, but assuming it was built during Khufu's reign, it's got to be built in 26 years. I remember one time Zahi Hawass told me that, now they're thinking that, they had to count the, something that had to do with the biennial session. So if it says Khufu reigned 15 years, it really meant 30. So that was a theory he told me. It was in 2014, some kind of grain or something. Anyways, the point is they can build in a fudge factor. So, the average size block is smaller than you might think, and even with that fact, because that would be, there's more of them. But even with calculating that the average size block is probably smaller than you consider, because I've gone up here before and measured a lot of these blocks and built a calculation built on the size of these blocks. I'm right now on the west side of the pyramid, a little bit better filming here, not as many people around, it's easier to make a video. So this is the west side, and you can see, the size of these. These are big, real big. These are big. But as it goes up, they get smaller, and the average height is probably 2.5 feet. So in terms of moving most of these, whether it's 1 million or 1.5 million, I think it's less than 1 million blocks that are there, probably 800,000 of them were very handleable. You don't need, giants, you don't need Atlantis, you don't need aliens, very handleable. And then the ones that were bigger, like the 20 to 50 ton specialized granite stones that are in the Grand Gallery, a lot of people have shown a lot of ways that through relatively simple means those could be brought up to the King's Chamber. So Sir Flinders Petrie you know, talked about the width of the various courses, and it changes. It goes from small, a series of small courses, then some big ones, then small, then big. And so I think it's related to maybe they got so much stone out of the quarry, then they had to go lay those, and then they had to go back to the quarry and chop more out. And so probably working with the blocks that came out. It's just like anything. If you want to, you know, if you want mangoes in season, you got to buy them in season. You know, you got to take what comes when it comes. That's one of the simple principles of building here. So that the variation in the courses seems to be related to the way they were pulling them, you know, out of the quarry. But it could also be because some of the courses, I think symbolically, the 19th course is bigger, the 35th course is bigger. Well, 19, the meaning of numbers, is faith, and 35 is hope. You know, so there's that famous Bible verse, faith, hope, and love. So the 19th course, the 35th course, putting focus on faith and hope. Powerful, you know, human aspirations. Faith and hope. And you know, the third one of those is love. I wonder, does the Great Pyramid reveal love? You know what? I do think that's the grand center of the Great Pyramid. You got to follow me a long way to go with that one. But faith, hope, and love, here we are right here. Stay tuned.